back to the Spider's Web, and as you can see I'm joined by Ali, and we are going to be playing House from Hell, number 10 in the Fighting Fantasy series, written by Steve Jackson and illustrated by Tim Sell. It was originally done by Puffin Books, and first published in 1984. Almost as old as Ali. Or as young as Ali.
Young.
Right, so this is going to be the initial video, basically showing how to set up the character. Usually you'd play these on your own, but just for the sake of a bit of fun in this video, I'm going to play the part of a kind of a dungeon master, controlling all the monsters and all the encounters, and Ali is going to play our hero, adventurer, making the way through the House from Hell. Sorry, the House of Hell. So, let's start, shall we? How to survive the House of Hell. The House of Hell is a little different from previous Fighting Fantasy adventures. You start your adventure unarmed, with no provisions, no potions, and you have to avoid being frightened to death. Before embarking on your adventure, you must first determine your own strengths and weaknesses to see how brave, lucky and resourceful you are. You must use the dice to determine your initial skill, stamina and luck scores. You are advised either to record your scores on the adventure sheet that's in the book, in pencil, or make photocopies of the page to use in future adventures. We are, however, not going to do any of those. We're going to be using a book. So, your skill, stamina and luck. Let's go down to the dice tower where we're going to set these up. Okay, there we are. So, roll one die and add 6. 6. So you now have a skill score of 12. This is your initial skill. In this adventure your starting skill is less because you are unarmed, but you will have the opportunity to arm yourself, and that skill may go up. Now, roll both dice, add 12 to the number rolled, and enter the total in the stamina box. 19 by the look of it. Yep.
Yeah.
There is also a luck box. Roll one die and add 6 to this number and enter the total in the luck box. 11. For reasons that will be explained, skill, stamina and luck scores change constantly during an adventure. You must keep an accurate record of these scores, and for this reason, you are advised either to write small in the box or to keep an eraser handy. This doesn't matter. I'm reading this almost verbatim, thinking that you're going to be using the little sheet in the book. We're not doing so, bear with me. Never eradicate your initial scores, either rub out or cross out, because that's the one you're aiming towards. You may be awarded additional skill, stamina and luck points, but these totals may never exceed your initial scores, except on very rare occasions when you will be instructed on a particular page. Your skill score reflects your general fighting expertise. The higher, the better. Your stamina score reflects your general constitution, your will to survive, your determination and courage. The higher your stamina score, the longer you will be able to survive. Your luck score indicates how naturally lucky a person you are. Luck and evil are facts of life in the devilish domain you are about to explore. Now, battles. You will often come across pages in the book which instruct you to fight ghosts, ghouls, men and beasts. An option to flee may be given, but if not, or if you choose to attack the creature anyway, you must resolve the battle as described below. First, record the creature's skill and stamina scores in the first vacant evil encounter box on your adventure sheet. We don't want to do that as yet. The scores for each creature are given in the book each time you have an encounter. The sequence of combat is then Roll both dice, once for the creature, add its skill score. This total is the creature's attack strength. Roll both dice, once for yourself, add the number rolled to your current skill score. This total is your attack strength. If your attack strength is higher than that of the creature you have wounded it, proceed to step 4. If the creature's attack strength is higher than yours, it has wounded you, so proceed to step 5. If both attack strengths totals are the same, you have avoided each other's blows. Start the next attack round from step 1 above. Step 4. You have wounded the creature, so subtract 2 points from its stamina score. You may use your luck here to do additional damage. More on that later. Step 5. The creature has wounded you, so subtract 2 points from your own stamina score. Again, you may use luck at this stage. More about that later. Make the appropriate adjustments to either the creature's or your own stamina scores and your luck score if you use luck. And then begin the next attack round by returning to your current skill score and repeating steps 1 to 6. The sequence continues until the stamina score of either you or the creature you are fighting has been reduced to 0. Fear. As well as surviving your adventure by ensuring that your stamina never drops to 0, in the House of Hell you must also avoid being frightened to death. Before you begin your adventure, roll 1 die and add 6 to the results. Hang on, oops, sorry. That's 12, so write that in the fear box. The total will give you the maximum fear score you can bear. Your fear score is the number of points you can take before being frightened to death. During your adventure you will come across situations where you must, for example, add 1 or 2, etc. fear points. Your fear score starts at 0 and you must add fear points as instructed in the text. If your fear score reaches the maximum as rolled initially, then you are frightened to death and must end the adventure. Note that fear works in the opposite way to normal skill, stamina and luck scores. You start with 0 and increase your fear score towards your maximum rather than subtracting as you do with the other scores. Escaping. On some pages you may be given the option of running away from a battle should things be going badly for you. However, if you do run away, the creature automatically gets in 1 wound on you, so you subtract 2 stamina points as you flee. Such is the price of cowardice. Note that you may use luck on this wound in the normal way. You may only escape if that option is specifically given to you on the page. If you're fighting more than one creature, or for fighting more than one creature. If you come across more than one creature in a particular encounter, the instructions on the page will tell you how to handle the battle. Sometimes you will treat them as a single monster, others you will fight each one in turn. You begin the House of Hell adventure with no weapon. As with other fighting fantasy adventures, your skill score reflects your combat ability with a weapon. So before you start off on your adventure, deduct 3 points from your skill score and note this starting skill. Do not, however, change your initial skill, as this is still used to determine the maximum skill you have, and is also used if you must make rolls against your skill. If you find a weapon, which will be identified with capital letters during the adventure, the text will tell you how many skill points the weapon allows you to add. These points are added to your starting skill, not your initial skill. At various times during your adventure, either in battle or when you come across situations in which you could either be lucky or unlucky, you may call upon your luck to make the outcome more favourable, but beware, using luck is a risky business. If you are unlucky, the results could be disastrous. The procedure for using your luck is as follows. Roll 2 dice. If the number rolled is equal to or less than your current luck score, you have been lucky and the results will go in your favour. If the number rolled is higher than your current luck score, you have been unlucky and penalised. This procedure is known as testing your luck. Each time you test your luck, you must subtract 1 point from your current luck score. Thus, you will soon realise that the more you rely on your luck, the more risky this will become. You may use luck in battles. On certain pages of the book you will be told to test your luck and be told the consequences of your being lucky or unlucky. However, in battles you always have the option of using your luck either to inflict a more serious wound on a creature you have just wounded, or to minimise the effects of a wound the creature has just inflicted on you. If you have just wounded the creature, you may test your luck as described above. If you are lucky, you have inflicted a severe wound and may subtract an extra 2 points from the creature's stamina score. However, if you're unlucky, the wound was a mere graze and you must restore 1 point to the creature's stamina. So instead of scoring the normal 2 points of damage, you have now only scored 1. If the creature has just wounded you, you may test your luck to try and minimise the wound. If you are lucky, you have managed to avoid the full damage of the blow. Restore 1 point of stamina. So instead of doing 2 points of damage, it's only done 1. But if you are unlucky, you have taken a more serious blow. Subtract 1 extra stamina point. Remember that you must subtract 1 point from your own luck score each time you test your luck. Restoring skill, stamina, luck and fear. Your skill, stamina and luck scores may change during your adventure. Your skill will increase from starting skill if you find a weapon. Your stamina will drain as you fight creatures and may be restored by eating or resting as instructed by the text. Your luck will run out as you must deduct 1 point each time you test your luck. Occasionally, a particularly lucky find or encounter may restore some of your luck. Your fear score is built up as you go through the adventure. Each time you get frightened, you will add to your fear score. Occasionally, when you get the opportunity to relax, the text may instruct you to deduct points from your fear score. Note that any bonuses you are awarded can never be used to exceed your initial skill, stamina and luck scores, nor make your fear score a minus number. Now, here's some hints on play. There is only one true way through the House of Hell, and it will take you several attempts to find it. Make notes and draw a map as you explore. This map will be invaluable in future adventures and enable you to progress rapidly through the unexplored sections. Remember to make a note of any advice you receive and write down any messages or special reference numbers you are given. Some rooms are death traps and others are chambers of horrors, so be warned. It will be realised that entries make no sense if read in numerical order. It is essential that you read only the entries you are instructed to read. The one true way involves a minimum of risk, and any player, no matter how weak on initial dice rolls, should be able to get through fairly easily. May the power of good go with you. And now, pause for a second, get everything all ready, the atmosphere correct, and then we'll go into the background and start play. The rain spatters the windscreen relentlessly. You can see no more than a watery gloom as you strain forward over the steering wheel to see the road ahead. Although the wipers flap valiantly, they are fighting a losing battle. As the rain drives harder and harder, your foot eases off the accelerator. The headlights struggle to light up the road. Damn! You curse the white-haired old man who sent you off along this bumpy track. Probably he meant the second turning on the left, or even a right turning, the old fool. Perhaps this is his idea of a joke. After all, didn't you notice a mischievous glint in his eye, something vaguely sinister? Well, what sort of nonsense is this? So you've taken a wrong turn and got caught in a downpour in the night. The rain will ease off soon, it can't possibly keep up this deluge for long. And then you'll be able to... Watch out! You spin the wheel frantically to the left to avoid the figure who, from nowhere, shows up in the headlights. The car bumps and jolts as it bounces over the rocky roadside and thumps into a ditch. You collect your thoughts. You are unhurt but shaken. Then you remember what has happened. The body. You must have hit the figure which appeared. There was no way you could have avoided him. You spring out of the car, praying that he is still alive. Your clothes soak up the rain as you hobble back to the road. In the darkness it is difficult to see anything, but there is no sign of a body. You consider the situation. Are you certain that it was someone and not a trick of the light? Yes, you can remember the arms held straight, held up in fright as the car collided, and the look of anguish on his face. His face. There was something familiar about that face. A man you recognised. An old man with white hair. Your heart leaps. No, impossible. With a shiver of fear you race back to the car, jump inside, force the key into the ignition and twist it violently. The starter coughs, splutters and dies. You hit the key again, but this time a single shudder is all the engine can manage. You grasp the wheel with your hands and shake it desperately as if to force some life into the car. But the battery is dead. Your car is certainly not budging from the ditch tonight. Your situation is hopeless, but now the plight of your car is paramount. Where can you get help? You passed the garage at Mingleford, but that was some 20 miles away. As if in answer, a light appears in the distance. Someone has switched on a bedroom light. What a stroke of luck. It was at least 15 miles back that you passed the last house, and you happened to have broken down just a short distance from someone's home. You button up your coat and open the door. From outside the car you can see the building more clearly, just ahead on the left. A drive winds up to a large house. It is a good 5 minutes walk away. And by the time you reach it you will be drenched, but how else can you call the garage? You can't afford to miss tomorrow's appointment. No, go you must. Anyway, you'll probably be able to dry off inside after phoning the garage. You slam the door, turn up your collar and set off for the house. A flash of lightning lights it up clearly for you, but in your preoccupation with the rain, the warning from above is wasted on you. The house is old, very old, and in a shocking state of repair. The light in the window is flickering, most likely an oil lamp, certainly not electric. And you don't notice a fact that might have turned you back anyway. There is no telephone line going to the house. As you climb the steps to the front door, little do you realise what fate has in store for you. Tonight is going to be a night to remember. You climb the creaking steps up to the front door and pause to catch your breath. Even though you ran all the way up the drive from the car, you are soaked through. Your feet are particularly wet. Judging by the number of puddles you stepped into in the dark, the drive needs a small fortune spending on repairs. But under the porch you are out of the storm and you brush the rain from your clothes before turning towards the door. The rain is still pelting down, but an eerie silence hangs in the air. No lights are on downstairs. You step back off the porch to check the upstairs window which attracted your attention earlier. Nothing. No lights. The whole place seems to be deserted, but then you remember the time. 5 minutes to midnight. Everyone in the house has probably gone to bed. An owl hoots in the distance and a shiver runs down your spine. The situation is a little scary. Here you were in the middle of nowhere at some strange run-down old house about to wake up whoever lives inside at midnight. They certainly won't be too pleased. But you have no choice if you're going to make your appointment tomorrow. You must reach your telephone to call for help. You step up to the front door. From the left-hand side of the house, a dull glow catches your attention. A light has been turned on. You breathe a sigh of relief. At least someone is awake. You consider your options. There is an elaborate knocker in the middle of the door and a bell pull hanging down to the right. Will you rap on the door with the knocker, pull the cord, or creep around the house to investigate the lights?
Pull the cord.
You grasp the rope and pull. From the depths of the house you hear a tinkling noise, and the light coming from the outside window goes out. A few moments later, the door handle turns slowly and the door opens. Standing in the doorway is a tall man dressed in a dark suit with tails. His long face is solemn. "Yes?" he asks indignantly. You smile nervously and explain your situation. Your car has broken down and you need to reach a telephone and you are soaked to the skin. The man's face remains expressionless. "Come in," he orders. "The master is expecting you. Follow me." He leads you into a reception hall and tells you to sit down while he informs his master of your arrival. You sit down in a solid carved chair and look around. The reception hall is certainly not what you would have expected from the outside. It is elegantly decorated with rich tapestries and fine oak panels. A number of portraits line the walls. A sturdy 16th century table is set against one wall. Will you wait for your host to arrive? Will you study the paintings or hunt for a telephone?
Hunt for a telephone.
There is no telephone in the hall, and you feel uneasy about venturing into any of the rooms. While you are wondering what to do, you hear a noise coming from behind one of the doors. You rush back to the chair and sit down. Footsteps. Someone is coming. The tall man you met earlier walks in, opening the door for another tall man dressed in a purple smoking jacket. "May I present Lord Kelnar, or the Earl of Drummer?" the butler announces. The Earl holds out his hand and you shake it. His grip is strong and his eyes pierce yours. His lips widen to a soft smile. You begin to tell him of your predicament, but he holds up his hand. "Please, I can see that you have been caught in this filthy storm. Let us sit by the fire and we will see whether we can help. Franklins, tell the cook to prepare some food for our visitor." You protest that you do not wish to be any trouble, but your host ignores you and leads you into a drawing room where a fire is burning. You take off your coat and sit down. The heat of the fire makes you feel comfortable once more. Franklin's returns with 2 glasses of brandy. Will you relax, drink the brandy, and ask if you can use a telephone, or will you wait to see what he asks you?
Wait for his question.
Your host is a little annoyed by your nervousness. Come, he says. "There's no need to be afraid. Gradual little accidents cause you to lose your nerve. Drink your brandy, you'll soon forget your fears." As you watch him, your mind begins to play tricks on you. Is his expression one of genuine concern for your welfare, or is there a hint of something secretive in the eyes and smile? You shiver, and your fear of the situation is evident. Add 1 fear point. No, it's just 1. You're adding up to 12. You're not adding to the 12.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay.
A short while later, Franklin's appears. "Your meal is served, sir," he says to the Earl. You both rise and go through to the dining room. The dining room looks magnificent. A long table stretches between 2 fine chairs and is laid with gleaming silver cutlery. A rich red wallpaper covers the walls, and the room is lit by a sparkling chandelier, bristling with candles, which hangs from the ceiling. You take your seat and the butler moves behind you to offer you wine. Will you take white wine or red?
Red.
The wine is impeccable, a fine vintage. Soup follows, and then you may choose either lamb or duck for your main course, or you can tell your host that you have already eaten and you are not hungry.
I choose lamb.
A rack of lamb is brought in on a silver platter. The smell is delicious. You both start to eat and talk. The Earl asks you about your job and your reason for being in such an out-of-the-way place in the middle of the night. In turn, he tells you about himself and his family. The Earl of Drummer is the last survivor of his family. His estate stretches for miles around the house. At one time, the estate was prosperous, with many tenant farmers cultivating his land and providing a healthy income for his family. But things started to change. His sister died at the age of 32 under mysterious circumstances. She was found dead in a clearing in the wood with strange marks on her neck. News travelled fast, and the ignorant peasants started muttering about witchcraft and black magic. In their eyes, the house was cursed. Pure superstitious nonsense, of course, but gradually the farmers moved to new pastures, avoiding the estate. By now you have finished your meal. Franklin returns to offer you fruit, cheese, coffee and brandy. Which will you take? Fruit, coffee and brandy? Cheese, coffee and brandy? Or just cheese and coffee?
Cheese and coffee.
The butler brings in a plate of cheese and a steaming pot of coffee. He cuts you a portion of the cheese and pours your coffee into a china cup. The conversation continues. You finish off your meal. The Earl rises to his feet, saying, "My conversation has been most enjoyable, but now you must be very tired. Franklin's will show you to your room. Let us retire." You stand up. He's right, you are tired, and it's well past midnight. You stumble and reach out to steady yourself against the table. Phew, you didn't realise you were that tired. Or have you had a little too much to drink? Your head is spinning and the voice of your host becomes part of the background noise, which is getting louder and louder in your ears. Eventually you collapse to the ground and lose consciousness. You open your eyes, your head is spinning, and it is some time before you are fully aware of the fact that your hands and feet are bound. The room you are in is empty, but you work out a plan. You will hop over to the window, break the glass and use it to cut yourself free. Pulling yourself to your feet is awkward, but you manage it, and with a mixture of hops and shuffles you arrive at the window. Outside the wind is blowing the rain against the window panes. Will you go ahead and smash the window with your hands, something of a risky business, or will you instead test your luck?
I think I would test my luck.
Okay, so to test your luck, you roll 2 dice. Wait a second, and you have to get less than 11. You got less than 11. You were lucky. You managed to escape the splintering glass without harm. Now, just mark off one of your luck, so you're down to 10 now. You cut yourself free and massage your wrist to get the circulation moving again. Then you walk over to the door to try it. It's not locked. You try the handle, open it a little and look outside. Your room is on a first floor landing. Facing the door is a balustrade, and looking over the banisters you can see the entrance hall below. So do you wish to go to the left, where there are 2 doors in the corner of the landing which runs along to the right, or looking to your right, the landing runs past another door and then turns to the left. Which way will you go, left or right? The choice is yours, because that's it for this session. I know we didn't get into anything deep on this one, but that's the first part. You're now on your own, working your way through the house with a little help from our viewer. If if you have any suggestions, please let us know. Do we turn left or do we turn right?
Ooh.
We will try and get another one up in a few, probably if not later on in the week. Then shall we do these on a Monday?
Yeah.
We'll do these on a Monday. So you've got till next Monday to give us any options you have. If somebody's already suggested the one that you would like, you can always give them a like and see what happens. You know, give the old suggestion a full thumbs up. And the more suggestions, I will count up the suggestions before we do the next video, and the one with the most suggestions we will pick. So that's it from the House of Hell, part 1. Join us next time for part 2.
I can't wait for next week now.
Take care, God bless, and bye for now.